And good evening, everybody. I'm Ashley Webster, in tonight for Lou Dobbs. The Obama administration, the U.S. and European Union expanding sanctions against Russia, targeting Russia's largest bank, the financial and energy and defense sectors. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he is considering retaliation over the sanctions, which he claims are aimed at disrupting the peace process. Meanwhile, the fragile ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine continues to hold, with Ukraine and pro-Russian rebels exchanging prisoners. Well, joining me live now from Kiev in the early hours of the morning, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and Fox News contributor Judith Miller. Judy, thank you so much for joining us. You're attending the Yalta European Strategy Conference. It's being held in Kiev this year because rather than Yalta, which is in the Crimea, and we understand why it's not there, explain what the conference is about.
Well, the conference is really focusing, Ashley, on the fate and the future of Ukraine, which has been fighting for its life. And there are assembled here some 350 diplomats, foreign service people, experts on the region, European commissioners, just extraordinary number of people, but almost no Americans this year to discuss the future of the Ukraine.
And Judy, what has the reaction been to these new sanctions from the EU and the US that really target, most importantly, I think, the future of Russia's energy industry?
Right. Well, everyone's very pleased that 28 nations of the European community managed to agree on this third set of sanctions aimed at crippling the Russian economy that's closest to Putin. That part of it, his banks, his oil drilling equipment, his financial establishment, the 25 people who are closest to him. But the Americans went even beyond that, and they targeted the Kremlin's largest bank. But even so, there's not a lot of talk here about America's leadership in the world, because America isn't leading the fight to stop Vladimir Putin from trying to take over this country.
Have you spoken to any officials in particular about that issue?
Yes, the President of the European Parliament, José Barroso, and I had a little chat after he addressed the gathering, and I asked him whether or not he had spoken to President Obama at the NATO summit about whether or not the West was going to do more to help Ukraine, like arm the Ukrainians who are desperately in need of arms to fight the Russians. And Mr. Barroso was very, very diplomatic, and he said, Mr. Obama is a very nice man. They chatted in the corridors. And I said, well, but was there a consensus about doing more? And he said, he's a very nice man, and he's very preoccupied with ISIS at the moment. I think I had my answer, which is no, we can't expect much more help from the United States.
What do you think are the chances that this latest ceasefire will hold, Judy? How do you see this, and how do the people at the conference see this playing out?
Well, here there's a kind of forced optimism that the ceasefire will hold. Somehow Putin will be dissuaded from trying to take Mariupol, the city which would give him a land bridge to the Crimea, which he has already annexed. But I think the diplomats and the experts here are much more pessimistic about the chances of stopping Putin. And Ukraine, I must say, President Poroshenko addressed this conference today, and the Ukrainian economy is in dreadful shape. He has not been able to enact some of the reforms that he wants to, some of the anti-corruption measures. There's a lot of kind of soul-searching, a lot of concern about the future of this country. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to make it, that they're not going to have to default, and that President Putin won't be tempted to break this ceasefire when it suits his fancy.
Judy Miller, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. It's 2:38 in the morning in Kiev, so time for you to get some well-earned rest. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Ashley. Wish you could all be here.
Yeah, fascinating stuff from Judy Miller in Kiev. Okay, now the quotation.